You guys, we have such a fun show tonight. Our first guest coming out tonight she's the founder of Dance Naked Productions, which does sex-positive theater around town and around the world. Please welcome out Eleanor O'Brien, everybody.
Anthony, can we be like, my temporary boyfriend?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
You said yes to that too fast, Anthony.
Yes,
also,
I am, bro. Improv rules.
I feel like one place improv rules don't count is in the bedroom. I feel like
Good call.
you got to be confident saying no, but.
Right.
Which is actually, that sounds different. Bonus joke. Didn't even mean that one. Thanks for coming out, Eleanor. Thanks for being here. So
fun.
tell us about, let's start with your theater company. We're going to get to these in a second. But first, let's talk about your theater company. So Dance Naked Productions is your company that produces theater. How did that come about?
Well, like 10 years ago, I wrote a show about my experience being a dominatrix in New York City. Like, and I got up on it.
That sounds great.
And I had to
So
fill
the thing
out.
is, you had a show about being a dominatrix in New York City.
Yeah, it's called Dominatrix for Dummies.
Just make sure that's sinking in.
And
I like the title because I feel like we need more really dumb dominatrixes.
well, and
Those are the group we
problem
want to
was,
aim these
I
books
was
at.
shitty at it because it turns out I really love people and I like want to hold them and rock them. You know.
Did
Hence
you-
my
You don't
thing
want
for
to hold
Anthony
them
here.
and rock them.
Did
Right. Or
did-
stomp on them.
Did you have a lot of people coming in and was like, hey, Dominatrix 101 was just too much for me. I really need...
Can you turn
Can
it down
we
with
really
the big
take
words?
it
Shit
down
down.
just a level lower?
Right. So,
So you wrote the show.
so I wrote that show, and you had to fill out a form for the touring thing, and they asked me my company name, and I was like, And I was thinking about what do I most want to see on stage, and I want to see vulnerability. So I called it Dance Naked Productions, and therein a company was born.
Are there other kinds of stage vulnerability, or is that the only one you see?
Stage vulnerability.
Being vulnerable on stage is just being naked dancing? That's the only option?
No, it's emotional. It's a metaphor.
Okay. Oh.
You ever seen knife throwing? They were vulnerable on
Right.
stage. They stand right against that piece of wood and just let them throw knives at them.
I love that shit. Love
Oh,
it.
that's-
Aerialists.
That's knife receiving. That's even scarier. The thrower is not being vulnerable at all. Anyway, I'm sorry. We are getting off track this fast.
Okay, let me get us back on. I'll practice my dominatrix skills. So, what I ended up doing was coming back to Portland, and I made this show called Inviting Desire, and it was based on this book, My Secret Garden, which some of you may know. It's a book about women's sexual fantasies. Anyone? Anyway,
Is that-
read it. So good.
Is that the same as The Secret Garden?
Similar, but with older participants.
Okay. Whew.
No, anyway, okay, so I turned that into a show.
Yeah.
And then what happened was all of the women in that show wanted to write their own pieces. And so I started to think, okay, there's something between with creativity and sexuality, and I just kept doing it and casting women who wanted to write their own pieces. So it ended up being all original. So that's sort of the basis of my company is it's original work about sexuality.
And it's not only your work; it's just work from other people that you've
Yeah.
helped
So
source.
yeah, I cast them and create shows. Yeah. Mhm.
And but you also still do your own shows. Last year you toured with a show called Lust and Marriage.
I did. Yeah.
And that's your most recent show that you've written yourself.
Yeah.
Tell us about that show.
That show is a show based on autobiographical stuff about a woman who grows up believing, finding your soulmate is the most important thing in the world. And I read a lot of romance novels as a kid,
Oh.
And then I met this man at Burning Man who I just fell for, hook, line, and sinker. And it turns out he didn't believe in monogamy.
Uh-huh.
And so
And you had
Wait,
read that
at
book.
Burning Man you met
I
this
know,
guy?
it's so weird.
You don't say.
No way.
And I had read The Ethical Slut, like any
Right.
good Portlander has.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, let's go for it. And so we did and fell in love, got married. And, so the show is about, trying to navigate an open relationship and desire and loss of desire and how do you integrate other people and all of that.
And it's about your life.
It's about my life. Yeah.
And does it tell the whole story from Burning Man on? Does it include the Burning Man story?
It does. It includes the Burning Man story and the threesomes that went awry, or the ones that were really good, and the whole thing is kind of wrapped around the letters back and forth to Dan Savage.
Oh, okay.
Which like I made up, but I kind of
Dan Savage isn't real? You
He's
just
a
made
fairy.
up. You just made up Dan Savage?
Have you been playing the long con?
Yeah, we were all fooled.
You created this other successful fictional character.
You're having so much trouble dealing with
and
this.
on Twitter, I'm fake Dan Savage.
Which makes sense. You're always fake Dan Savage. No, so you wrote questions as if you had written them and he had responded.
Right,
so you were
right.
imagining what he would do to help you through this?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's what helps train you for your mission today.
Tonight, yes.
You're going to continue to perpetrate the myth of Dan Savage.
Exactly. I will
We
try to
have the real Dan Savage tonight. You also toured with the show. You took it on the Fringe Festival. And in doing so, you took a road trip
Yes.
of dancing naked.
I did.
Which means that if you are Googled, the first thing that if somebody is looking into you for research is pictures of you dancing naked.
Is that right?
That is true. You've never Googled
Awesome.
yourself?
I not lately.
It's a surprise.
Awesome.
Sometimes you're just in a coffee shop doing guest research, and there are, people around, and you don't want to get kicked off the Wi-Fi. No, so you did, and you wrote this, and there's a trip diary, and there's photos, and what was
Yeah.
So you had this name of a theater company, and you were like, well, I have to do this.
Well, I was going to drive across country because I started in Montreal. So I was like, I want to make it entertaining for myself. And I thought, it'd be fun to, along the way, have sort of goals, like, I'm going to stop at the biggest, nickel in the world in Iowa or whatever. And so
They're not a uniform size? I'm learning so much. I assumed it was just...
Well, no, they have to be. They can only be so big to still be a nickel. So it's just like...
The world's biggest nickel.
Yeah, it's just... it's just...
About nickel size.
Like, it doesn't sound impressive, but when you see it, you're like, that's a pretty big nickel.
Yeah.
Like...
Could be a quarter.
For a nickel. And then in the picture, it's next to a quarter for size.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I get to these things. Like a giant Abraham Lincoln head, for example.
Sure.
And to
On the
keep
world's
myself
biggest
entertained, I danced naked in front of him just for fun. So
There was a tank.
there was a tank.
So the obvious question is, did you get caught?
Okay, well there was this like 4-story Virgin Mary on the side of the highway. And
You see it too?
Yeah, I know, right? I thought it was a mirage. She's speaking to me. And that was the only time I got caught. But it was one guy, and he seemed to enjoy it. So
Yeah, I mean, he got more than he paid for with this Virgin
he had
Mary.
a religious experience. Yeah, no, it was pretty safe.
Yeah.
Turns out, dancing naked in public is not that dangerous. I encourage everyone to do it.
That does surprise me, especially because you were crossing borders. So if you'd gotten arrested in Canada dancing naked, that would be. I don't know. Do
could've
they
been
have an
deported.
extradition treaty? Probably they do. That's reasonable. I
Could
answered
have
my
caused
question
an
with a question.
incident, an international incident.
Yeah, I
Bill
mean, like,
Clinton
I
would have
guess-
been like, I got it.
Well, like if you're dancing naked at like the world's biggest Abraham Lincoln, and then like a school bus turns the corner, like all of a sudden.
Right.
It also might be different with you than like if Anthony was doing it.
Exactly. I'm really innocent seeming.
Well, so let's put that. Well, actually, before we do this, one more thing. I just want you to, so you have your season announcement party for Dance Naked Productions tomorrow. You want to give us a preview? What's in the upcoming season?
Well,
Without
I
spoiling
can't
it.
talk about it because then it wouldn't be no. Well, the first show is called Revelations,
Mm-hmm.
and that's coming up in March, and that is based on this party that a friend of mine has. We've done for like 7 years, and the first time we did it, it was a stripping party. Like you were invited to come strip, and so it was
Maximum vulnerability.
only like, 20 of us or something in a tiny apartment. But every year it's grown, and we've done more and more elaborate stuff. And so this year I decided to bring it to the public. And so all of the pieces, what they have in common is that they're people revealing some aspect of their erotic nature.
Some of them physical and some of them metaphorical.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's mostly storytelling, poetry, performance art kind of stuff.
And then also people dancing naked in an apartment. I'm just trying to see the full connection of what you just said.
Well, no, that was I gave you the history.
Oh, that was the history.
Started.
That part you were like, well, this party is great except for all the dancing naked in an apartment, and then you made a show without that.
Right, I wasn't clear. It started with dancing naked in an apartment.
Right.
The next year there was slideshow added. The following year, like that kind of
Right.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. Do you have another show you want to talk about? Let's just do that. I don't want to spoil your party.
Right.
Tell us about your party tomorrow if we wanted to go.
Oh, okay.
More about
Thanks for asking. It's called High Tea, and here's how this came about. Because I was going to have a party tonight. And then I announced save the date, and 5 people called me and were like, "You gonna have a party?" Because there was all these parties going on.
Right.
So then I was like, "Fuck, when am I gonna do it?" And so I decided to have it during the day on Valentine's Day, so I don't conflict with any other parties. And then I was like, "Oh, it's kind of tea time. Oh, I could do high tea and have everybody get high and eat little sandwiches."
Tea.
And then do sensual events.
If you're high, is this much enough sandwich? Because when I'm not high, that's too small of a sandwich. That's my problem with high tea. I'd like a full sandwich, please.
I don't want to blow your mind, but when it actually goes the other way.
Really?
Like, if you think that's a small sandwich sober, that's going to be a real small sandwich stoned.
Or you're going to be like, maybe the sandwich is the same size and I'm huge.
This weed made me so big.
Well, we got some questions for you, Eleanor. Do
Okay.
you want to continue to pretend to be Dan Savage?
Absolutely.
For the world? Awesome. All right, so we're going to start. I got a few questions here. And then we are going to save these, and like I said, there's going to be prizes later, including vodka, coffee, tea, and that thing of balloons in case you have a romantic thing tomorrow and you did not already buy $8 worth of balloons. So.
I feel like you're so far away.
All right, and Anthony is going to stay. So we're
closer towards the light, too.
Okay, cut.
we're going to.
I want to cuddle.
Anthony, I would like you to participate as well, so you're going to also answer these
All right.
questions for these relationship and sex advice. But you don't have to both be good at it. So you can do goofus and gallant, or gallant and gallant, or goofus and goofus, I guess. That would be fine. It would be nice if one of you was good, but you don't have to be. I just noticed naked people on your dress. Sorry. Okay.
I know, this dress is so perfect. Naked women and weed. And strangely, the Red Cross, which is like for
It's a
being
great
helpful.
organization. You should really help.
But when you're on the battlefield, they know not to shoot you.
This is the high tea sex advice lady. Definitely
That's
not she's off limits.
I always keep a red cross on me just in case shit goes down.
All right, goofus and
He's
goofus.
a medic. Don't shoot him.
Question number 1, kind of a medical question. I'm allergic to latex condoms. Is there another option? I'm just entering the dating scene again, and it's been a while. Smiley face.
Oh, good question.
I read all punctuation.
Well, it depends on whether or not you're a vegan.
Well, that right. How much of you would you like engulfed in a sheep's intestine?
Right.
Important question.
Because really, it doesn't have to stop at the condom. We can put so much of you in a sheep intestine, if that's what you're into.
You know what actually is
You'd
super
be
useful?
surprised.
Female condoms, and not a lot of people know about them or use them, but they're great.
How? In what way are they great?
One, they don't grip your cock like with the death squeeze of a condom.
Right.
You can
It's
slosh
like it's all
around
guys
a
are
bit.
always saying, like, man, it's just too tight. That's just my problem. It's just too much gripping.
Yeah.
I would like more of like a hallway feel. I just want to run like in Edward Scissorhands with hands out touching both sides. That's how I like it.
That's my answer, and I'm sticking
Good
to
answer.
it.
That's a very good answer. Question number 2: how do you tell someone you want to have sex with the? How do you want to tell someone you want to have sex with that you have herpes?
Oh, good question. Good question.
Yeah.
Should we role play it?
Why don't
Okay.
you role play it with Anthony?
Okay.
Wait, so
And
Post privilege.
just to find out which person am I in the situation? Because that's gonna
It's okay.
affect the bit.
I'll be the vulnerable one. I have practice. So I really like you, and I really can see this going further, but I need to let you know something. I have herpes, and if you're cool with that, let's get busy.
So the role playing is just don't let him talk. Just steamroll him.
No, I was done, and now he can respond.
High five. Yeah.
You're good, Anthony. It's very good.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of commercials that let me know that's A-okay.
Yeah, I think there's so much fear about it in this country, but
Right.
you go to other countries and they're like, herpes. It's no big. If you don't have herpes, it's a sign you haven't been having enough sex. That's what they say in Europe.
In Europe, just the whole of Europe. I had no idea.
Anywhere you go.
I always think of some of Europe as being a little like serious and buttoned
Okay,
up,
well, right.
but
switch
underneath that button-up, herpes.
Yep.
What are the best sex-positive places to go in Portland? Clubs, shops, etc. This is very open-ended because it could be like this is a very sex-positive deli. Where are the best places where people are not going to shame you for wearing a sex dress? Or not sexy, nude and pot dress and pills and Jesus and flowers dress. Sorry, you answer. I'm not in this.
Well, okay, I'm sure everybody knows about, but I'll give them a shout out to Shebop down the street.
Yeah.
Awesome.
As Bree would say if she were here, the place where all of the sex toys look like Wiimotes. They look like they're going to be part of a video game of some kind.
Totally. And Sex Positive Portland is a meetup group, and they do a lot of events, and they're great.
So this is sort of what the joke was about, but here's a serious version of that question, which is like, if you go to a sex positive meetup group, is it sex constant meetup group, or is it just like, we're fine with it, let's play Yahtzee?
Right, it depends on your level of comfort.
Okay, that's true.
Okay.
What kind of activities do the sex positive meetup
So
group
there's
do?
all like different levels. Like tonight, right now, there's a kink party going on. So, your various kinky activities.
Not the radio station that is helping us today. Totally different. I hope that was not a confusion when
Right.
people were like, "Oh, I love that
Whenever
kink
I see
radio."
that ad, though, I'm like, oh yeah, I love that radio station.
So they do a kink party.
Yeah, and they do like cuddle parties. There's a whole gamut. There's like speaking to consent. Learning
Yeah.
how to have consent.
Have you ever heard of like podies? People just hang out, drink.
They do that too?
Oh, and then you just have to make conversation.
Yeah, it's make
Fuck
conversation.
that. No.
Is that?
I'm just saying, man, people can get wild if you're looking for that.
I don't know. A lot of my friends have kind of nice apartments. Not bragging, but so they say like, they're kind of like sex. Later, not at our apartment. They sort of like leave your sex at the door with your shoes, and then you just have a party. It's not sex negative. It's just like sex not
neutral.
here. I'm positive. Don't have sex in my room like that. All right, we gotta get a couple more questions in. Running out of time. Is there really a cool way to look and feel extremely sexy after 50, or do you just look foolish like you're trying too hard? Oh yeah. Even if you're a hard body, but your face doesn't match. That is a layered question.
It is a layered question.
Yeah. So how do you
That
look?
question's
how do you-
lived a long, complex life to get to that piece of paper.
Yeah.
It does. So Anthony, you're like 24. How do you? Put your-
24 don't have the whole body or the face to match for it. So I guess that.
You have a soft body and a face to match.
Yeah. I think you just do you, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
I mean,
for
that's what probably all the true message of a lot of advice is. You're worth something, right? That's
Pick
I think
up
part of this.
plain blues guitar, man. It's
Right?
Cool.
Totally good.
I don't know. Get something else.
I would say,
Like
really,
you can make up for anything if you can do a cool lick on a guitar. Is pretty much what I've discovered.
So 2 pieces
So
of advice.
True. So true.
One is feel confident in yourself, and the other one is try guitar. My partner and I want a tasteful porn site to watch, something with plot. Any suggestions?
Oh my gosh, make love, not porn. So good.
This is a site?
Yeah.
This is
Make love and not porn. Bike. It's a real good site.
Dot what?
Bike.
Dot buy.
Bike.
Bike. Dot bike?
It's just my new favorite domain name. It's a real. You can use
You
dot
just buy
bike
dot-
now. As
I
domain.
get it. You didn't tell us that part of the joke. It was just a weird thing you said.
I just like saying it. It brings a smile to my face every time I do.
So make love not porn is more
Regular people
plot heavy.
uploading.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a whole hump site.
Yeah, and plot, because plot. I think one of the misconceptions is that people think there's no plot anymore. There is. It's just terrifying, and you should skip it.
Right. Oh, I had a party where I invited all these people over because it was a movie called like Marriage 2.0, and it was supposed to be, people having sex, but there was plot.
Yeah.
And I was really excited about it. And so I invited people, and about 40 people showed up at this party, and we start watching the movie, and it is straight sex from jump.
Yeah.
And it was so uncomfortable. Everyone was just like, I thought you said there was going to be a plot.
But it's like, I like porn should be like that new Mad Max movie, right? Like, you don't
more
think
about
there's
that.
a lot of plot, but it's like the characters' actions speak of the developments, you know? Like, there is so much plot in that new Mad Max movie. There's a lot of character development. It's just not said.
Right. And if
Think
you
about it.
come all over her face, that says something about the relationship and speaks to the underpinnings of the plot or something.
We got so many good questions. Let me do a couple more. Fiancé and I are getting married in September. Do you suggest a period of celibacy beforehand? If so, how long? Or other advice? Winking smiley face. The crowd seems to be saying no. What do you guys think?
Is your mom in the room and you're trying to win a bet? Look, Mom, I'll ask. But they kind of say no.
You know what Dan Savage would say? Have
first.
sex first.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he's wrong in this case.
Well,
I think it makes sense when it's like a heavy. Well, it depends on how much you're drinking, I guess. But I think a period of like 6 days is fun. That's what I would recommend.
Okay.
If you can, if you can go that far. I mean, it's not like if there's an emergency or whatever,
day
do
of
it.
the
But like,
day of the wedding, I think you should have sex first because nobody ever. I mean, I don't know. I didn't end up having sex after.
really?
Yes.
Then you were never really married. I'm just kidding.
Well-
Just kidding.
I mean that night. You know what I'm saying.
Okay. I don't think that rule matters anyway. Oh man, these people have been living in sin for 7 years, which good for you guys. And I just want to say, I got married after 7 years, and we waited 6 days, and it was great. That's probably a lot of information, but I recommend it because you sort of, I don't know, for me, every 3 days I forget, what it was like, and so 6, you're really a mystery. It'll be great. What's the deal with cock rings? Should I try it?
Ouch! I find it so, and they're hard to get on. And I've never made it work successfully. How about you? I mean, with my cock, it just falls off.
I don't know, you want something to collect dust in a drawer for the rest of your life? I mean, hey, maybe you're hey, keep in mind most things like that. Give it a try, you might like it. Or you're not gonna just throw it out, 'cause that's weird.
Right?
So
Or
then
give
it's
it
just
away.
gonna hang out. So what happens is, here's what fucking happens. You get a drawer of 8 years of weird flights and fancies you go on. And there's just different posts in your life. And then someone opens that drawer and they're he has a whole drawer of weird shit that he uses on the reg nightly right there. Why else would he have it there? I know he pours fake dust on it when he's done. I know what kind of guy fucking Falcone is. So, the same. Anything you buy is gonna end up somewhere, and then they collect. Think about it.
You guys, we have to move on. Eleanor O'Brien, everybody, from Dance Naked Productions, the real Dan Savage.